if you guys have been watching Nexus Edge, we would really appreciate it if you took an opportunity to take the survey below. We're going to have a link down below in the description. We are asking about all the segments. We want to know what you like, what you don't like, what you love, what you don't love.
Maybe how we can improve.
Who you like, who you don't like, who you want to kick off.
Yeah. Who is the tribe voting off the island? That's what we really
but whatever it is, we want to hear about it. We really think, we've been getting input from the community throughout the season. At least I have. I think everyone else has too. And it would be a really big help for Season 7 if we can get your input. Welcome to Nexus Edge, the show that will help you get an edge on your competition. I'm your esteemed host, Turd Herder, and this is episode 10, and we're going to talk about the playoffs, guys. So today I've been joined by my stupendous panel, and we have, starting with our regular panelist, Mr. Ziltoid himself.
How's it going, everybody?
And joined also by our regular panelists, we have Whoa No.
We're in the double digits, baby.
Double digits, episode 10. And for today's episode, we've been joined by a very special guest. It is Mr. Aero himself.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon.
Yes. Yeah, we're recording midday Sunday, a little bit of an afternoon. Well, you guys might be before noon, but it's afternoon for me and Aero. And we're going to have a good time. So let's jump right into it. Aero, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I joined up as a mod here a couple of weeks ago for Division D. So I'm getting to participate a lot more in NGS, and originally joined NGS here last season in Season 5 as a sub on Regen, and stepped it up to main roster this season for NGS. And picked up some casting, so I've been doing a lot of that lately, and really finding all of the different nooks and crannies to work my way into the NGS community.
And now you're here on Nexus Edge.
And now I'm here.
There we go. I was gonna say you're quite the prolific member on the NGS Discord. You'll see you in Div C, Div D. I've seen you trickle into Div A.
I've got opinions, man, and everybody's got it going.
Perfect. That's what we like to hear. So before we get started here, I just want to take a quick break to talk about our Patreon. Without you guys, NGS would be much more difficult to run. That goes to fund our filing fees, our website fees. The Patreon gifts themselves are funded, no-brainer by the Patreon themselves. So if you guys are not a Patreon, go ahead and hit the link below or check out patreon.com/Nexus Gaming Series, I think. I got to learn that. One of these days I'm going to learn it.
It's patreon.com/Heroes Nexus Gaming Series.
Heroes Nexus Gaming Series.
Arrow to the rescue. First show, he's already killing it.
I heard Nexus Edge is looking for a new host. Just kidding. All right, guys. So it's been 2 weeks since the people have seen us. Logical Decision Boys. How's it going? You guys still kicking?
It was good. And then it was not so good.
Oh, no.
But you know what? So we won our first round series in what can be considered the tiniest of upsets, a 5 seed taking out a 4 seed in the form of Reborn Knights Red. 2-0 series felt really strong after that, but then we were going up against kind of the boogeyman of Division B West, Virtual Murky Slayers. We have a bit of a history with that team. They 2-0'd us in regular season play. It was one that we went into, I felt confident. The team felt mostly confident, but we still knew it was going to be a really tough matchup. We were looking good in game 1, but kind of let it slip away from us. And then game 2 was not so great, and we got 2-0'd. So we are now officially out of the playoffs.
Warming the bench like me. That's what I like to hear. No, and I know it was a real tough loss. I was watching that game. So it's season 6 for you, Ziltoid. What have you been up to?
Well, I mean, now I'm open to cast.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty happy with the way our season went. That was the first time we've made it through the first round of playoffs. I've made it to the playoffs every single season since I've been in NGS. But we always got eliminated in the first round. So even just making it through this to the second one, especially 2 divisions higher than I previously had been in, is pretty big achievement. So I think we'll come back stronger next season. And we just got to work it out. VMS is a hard team to play. They've got a lot of coverage basically in their roster, the way they kind of move things around and stuff like that. So it's for us, it's just we hadn't quite figured out what it was that we needed to find the victory on them, and hopefully next time we'll get that chance again. But yeah, now
any given Sunday.
Yeah, and I think we still can make it happen. It's just we've got a lot of work to do in the off season to figure out those things that'll help us do better. But in the end, I'm hoping to get a bit more casting in this next few weeks, or at least the next week here, to make sure that no further playoff games go uncasted.
Very nice.
That's pretty much all I'm going to be up to for probably the remainder of the season, outside of just still continuing the regular practice round.
Very nice. We'll have to keep an eye out for your casts. Your twitch.tv/PSZiltoid, right?
That's correct.
All right, check them out. As for me and the Nexus Cats, I sat on the bench in the round 1 playoff game, and Nexus Cats have lost. Busting brackets everywhere.
That just tells you they should have played you.
Yeah, Yep. No. The players that we had in that position, both support and off lane, were phenomenal. I think we played the best we could have. We definitely got beat, and it happens. So we're here. We're already practicing. We've joined the Zuljin Invitational League for the off season. So we're just going to hopefully be getting stronger. And since I have more time in the off season, I started playing World of Warcraft. So first time ever.
Yeah.
What's that?
Too Calculated to Throw did also take a match off Frankfurters, so do point out that they had a pretty fantastic round in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, I figured we'd talk about that a little bit later. I didn't want to. By no means do I want to diminish their game. They definitely played a very good game. So, but yeah, playing WoW, playing a little Hearthstone, just catching up on that backlog video game. So Aero,
you're also playing the wrong MMO. Turd.
For those that don't know, Ziltoid is a SWTOR fan. I am too. I want to try WoW. All these kids have been talking about it, so I got to check it out.
Put it down.
Put it down. All right, Aero, what have you been up to? You are not playing WoW because you are still in the playoffs. Is that right?
Well, half of what you said is correct. I actually am playing WoW. I raid lead on Mondays and Wednesdays, but we are still in the playoffs. We had our first match against Winky Face, and we were successful in that 2-0. And then this match here this week that Ziltoid actually cast, thank you for that, by the way, was a very close matchup with Almost Legends. All things being equal, those matches were really tight, or those maps were really tight. We did end up being successful 2-0 over them. And they were absolutely fantastic opponents, but now we get to prep for the Found Vikings this week.
Very nice. Good luck to you, of course. Now, let's move on to the big portion of our show today. It's going to be a discussion about the playoffs. We're going to talk about the brackets, matchups that have happened in round 1 and round 2, and the couple matches in round 3 we'll hopefully talk about. So, Ziltoid, why don't you start us off with a discussion about what's going on in Heroic, just because it's a little bit different since the last time we've been here.
Well, I mean, Heroic Division has been kind of hard to keep track of because it's not really on the NGS website with the calendar and stuff like that, and the bracket isn't there. So, it's been kind of a bit of a challenge to keep up with all the matches that have been going on, and I haven't been able to see every single one of them that happened, unfortunately, and I'm going to have to go back and watch the VODs because I do want to watch these games, and I'm not even sure if they've all been casted. So, Heroic Division, if you're not being casted, you're not getting anything, message me. If I've got, if I'm available, I will cast it, especially this upcoming week here, because we need to get those games in here. This is our Premier League, and it really should have focus on it. And
Absolutely.
The fact that it has kind of been being a little bit underrepresented is a failure, kind of on our part as well. But definitely just let me know. Anyways, first round. The first matchup was Insomnia versus Moto. This was a rematch from earlier in the season that went very close. Also, another 2-1 series, and did so again. So Insomnia actually went up ahead 2-1. They were the slightly higher seed for number 4th position over Moto at number 5. So I guess you could expect that was going to be the result, but it was these two teams are always really close. Just a couple decisions on the map that really make the difference when it comes down to who gets the victory on the given day. So they advanced into the second round in the winners bracket. The second match of the round 1 was Revive versus Montreal Style Bagels. Revive, of course, is like there's 3 teams that are point difference at the end of the regular season, which was Celeb Gaming, Abusement Park, Celeb Gaming, Revive Esports in that order. Yeah. And so it was. Now, the top 2 teams had buys because it's only a 6-team playoffs, and that's why they didn't play in the first round. So Revive Esports went up against Montreal Style Bagels, and true to form, took them out yet again. Montreal Style Bagels is the 6th seed, but they're a surprisingly good team. Like they definitely have a lot of things that make them good, and one of the big things is they are all French Canadian, so they all speak the same language. They're all from the same region, so I'm sure that their practice and discussions are pretty consistent. I imagine that they're real life friends as well as just online. So, despite losing to Revive Esports 2-0, which is a really tough team to beat, as they are a Div S team, I imagine they gave them some good games there for those 2-0. So going into the round 2, because once you have the kind of the losers of each of these series, need to come out before they can actually start the losers round 1. So in the winners bracket, we had Abusement Park take on Insomnia, and Abusement Park's been an awesome team all season, and they 2-0'd Insomnia, which I guess isn't too much of surprise as they are very good.
Expected, I would think.
And so Celeb Gaming and Revive Esports had another rematch, and as true to form as Celeb Gaming has done all season, they beat Revive again 2-0. This was a 2-0, though not a 2-1, which they've had plenty of those between these two teams. And Revive and Celeb Gaming tend to play each other a lot. They scrim a lot, and they just were better on the day. So now we're in the losers round 1, and that was Revive Esports versus Moto. And this might surprise everyone, but it was Moto that beat Revive Esports.
Yeah. Well, and that's not only it. Also, the Montreal Bagels beat Insomnia. It was actually the losers from the round 1 games wound up winning the losers bracket round 1 games.
Yeah, they just swapped and then beat the winner.
Yeah.
So,
it's almost crazy how that happened. Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Maybe Moto just caught Revive on a bad day. They play a lot, so maybe they just weren't ready for what they had coming at them. I really need to watch those matches because I haven't had an opportunity to. I know that it was Mongoose that picked up that matchup, right? Insomnia, Montreal Style Bagels, and then I don't know if anyone casted Revive Esports or Moto. So again, please let me know so that I can at least cast some of these games, if nothing else. So going into the semifinals in the winners bracket, we have the quintessential top 2 teams at each other, Abusement Park and Celeb Gaming. This went in favor of Abusement Park last time, but it was a really close series. I did watch that one, so it's not an easy one to call. It can go either way. Yep. And then we have the 5 and 6 seeds going at each other in the losers round too. Moto versus Montreal Style Bagels, and both of them having upsets. It'll be interesting to see which one comes out ahead. Moto did take out Revive Esports, so I'm going to give them the edge. But Montreal Style Bagels, from what I've been hearing from teams that scrim them and other things like that, don't count them out. They could definitely bring up an upset here.
Sounds good. Thank you for giving us the recap of Heroic. And because of your excellent season analysis of Div A, we're going to go right back to you for the Div A playoffs. So since we've last recorded, the Div A playoffs have begun. They're one round behind Divs B, C, and D. So they're just wrapping up round 1. So why don't you go ahead and give us an analysis of what happened over there?
The good thing about Div A is that there's not two sides to the bracket. So despite the fact that it is started later, it's still going to be wrapping up around the same time for the grand finals. We didn't talk about Div A less, but DeWitt did put a nice article talking about Div A and the predictions, for all the divisions, but it was the first time we got to actually discuss the playoffs for Division A. And I actually kind of gave my 2 cents that article. So if you didn't read it, you should definitely go look it up and give it a read. Good work from DeWitt. He's a great guy. He's been writing fantastic articles all season.
Oh yeah. And just to piggyback on that, if you haven't checked out any of his articles, go ahead and read them. He did a very good breakdown of all of the Division B, C, D matchups, kind of his matchups to watch. So if you can't get enough of NGS content and you need an article to read, that's where I would go, guys. Definitely a good job. Shout out to DeWitt. He's also the organizer of the XGD Invitational League. So good for him. But sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, Ziltoid, finish us on the Div A analysis.
No problem. So in the first round, we had Queen's Consort versus Sky 5, which is the number 1 and number 8 seed. Mm-hmm. As I predicted in the in DeWitt's article, Queen's Consorts did come out with a victory over top of Sky 5. Shouldn't really have been too much of a surprise. Sky 5 worked hard to get into the playoffs, but it was a really close thing to start with, and they'd struggled a bit with consistency. They still kind of made a good, put good effort into the match, and I didn't mind the plays and the drafts that they were trying to put together to kind of throw Queen's Consorts off, but it just wasn't enough. The team is super solid. And I cast that game too as well.
Oh, nice.
So again, you can check out the VOD on my Twitch channel and or on YouTube as well, which it was uploaded to. Give me the D Shield versus Ferrets. Ferrets unfortunately was a forfeit. You hate to see it in the playoffs. It's not what you typically want to see, but it was unfortunately what happened. And so Give Me the D Shield is advancing to take on Queen's Consorts in the second round. Nobo Esprouts took on PFM. I haven't actually had the opportunity to watch this set yet. I actually wanted to. I was really, really interested to see if PFM could kind of show up some magic in the end against the number 2 seed Nobo Esprouts. But as the standings clearly show, they didn't have the magic they needed to bring to take out Nobo Esprouts, which has been a really strong team all season.
They did get a map though,
and I expect that could have been the case. So I do want to watch the set. Did you cast that Aero?
No, I didn't. I just I watched parts of it as I could.
Okay.
Last night.
Why don't you inform us a little bit about it, or somebody here a little bit about that matchup?
I was only able to kind of flip in and out of it because they were playing. If I remember correctly, they were playing at a time when I was actually rating. So I just had it up on my second monitor, going, "Oh, ooh,"
Okay.
So I don't have a whole lot to say about it other than that they did manage to go. They did manage to get one map win out of it.
Very nice.
Alrighty. Well, they're done for the season. But they'll have an opportunity to bring it back next season. So, anyways, Dread Pirates and Lion Speed was the number 3 and number 6 seed. This was the one that I identified as probably the most likely opportunity for an upset outside of Ferris was getting the D Shield, which of course didn't happen. But Lion Speed wasn't able to quite bring it out, but they did really play well, and they took Dread Pirates to 3 games as well, and all 3 games were to the wire. They were all close. It was not a stomp in any means or manner. So Lion Speed definitely trying their best to kind of bring up some of that hype that we had for them at the beginning of the season in the playoffs. And I think they gave a really good accounting of themselves. I think if they just tweak a couple things, they might have even had that series. So well done to them. But Dread Pirates, of course, being, the number 3 seed and having a pretty strong season all the way through, have done are moving on to the next round.
Yep. So looking forward, then, are you predicting that we're going to see Queen's Consorts versus Nobo E-Sprouts?
No. I think that Dread Pirates can beat Nobo.
Okay.
So I do think that we might see an upset there. Give Me the D Shield is always kind of an X factor. They do have an opportunity to take out Queen's Consorts. I don't think they will. I do think QC will be advancing, but Give Me the D Shield does have what it does have in their roster the capabilities to take on a team like Queen's Consort. So we could potentially see an upset there, but I don't think we will. However, I do think that Dread Pirates have what it takes to take out Nobo in the second round.
And because we've been joined by a special guest, Aero's dog. Aero, do you got any thoughts on the Division A kind of, I think it's their grand finals? Are we going to see Queen's Consorts versus Dread Pirates, or are you just going straight seeding?
So Alpha has different opinions than I do here, but you know what? I think that Queen's Consorts looked really scary when I cast them with Jason. Mm-hmm. And so I fully believe that they'll get all the way through there. Dread Pirates also looked really, really strong when I watched them too. So that's a matchup that I would like to see. I don't know, I don't follow those teams as much, so I don't have a 100% like confidence that this is exactly how it's going to go. But I think that that's a match I would like to watch.
Very nice. Any final comments, Will, or are we good to go on to Division B?
I don't really have that much more to say other than I think I would personally go by seeding. So I think we'll see the finale between Queen's Consorts and Nobo. Nobo and Dread Pirates obviously being a bit of a closer case than maybe Queen's Consorts and D Shield. I think Nobo is a bit of a meme team. They like to have fun. They like to joke around. But when they turn it on, and they're a very skilled team. So I expect to see that in the playoffs.
Speaking of meme teams, 3 of these teams are very avid Division A. We'll call them regular posters. All kinds of. I got beard tips. How to manage my beard from Division A earlier this week. So it's definitely.
Was their advice just shave it off?
Their advice ranged from don't shave. Yeah, stop shaving, and using beard-based oils and things. So I'll have to write those tips down.
Beards are gross, dude. Don't do it. They're absolutely terrible.
Well. If you're watching this, there's the survey, and apparently there's a question regarding whether or not I should have a beard. So we might see a little hairy turd. So on that thought, let's go on to Division B. Whoa, no! Start us out with Division B. What is this? This is Division B East.
Division B.
The Beast Division.
The Beast Division.
So what's happened? Round 1. Give us a recap of round 1 and round 2. What do we got?
Well, despite having some really good games, Division B East has been a very boring division in terms of who's made it through in the playoffs. It's literally been just a straight seeding going through, which, I mean, I guess you expect somewhat coming into it,
Right.
seeing as the top teams were the top teams and the teams kind of in the mid to bottom were kind of scrapping it out for who's going to make the playoff spots and who's going to get their seeds in. First game, Gilly Shark and Excel Esports. I watched parts of that one, and Excel actually looked pretty decent. I believe it was a 2-0 for Gilly. I'd have to go back and check that, but Excel definitely had like moments where they looked like they were putting up a good fight, but ultimately wasn't enough for Gilly. I placed my money on Jailbait for Minion Miners and Jailbait, but Minion Miners took that one. Our friends Cawthon and Himibo, that's their team. They look pretty solid.
Yep.
NUES and Lubu, that one, NUES looked very strong. Lubu, a new team to Div B, made the double Div jump, and they put up a good fight, but wasn't quite there for them.
Yeah.
And then Hodis and Reborn Knights Black was actually a very interesting match, and one I personally feel Hodis won, but they shouldn't have won. Reborn Knights Black, they looked strong. That's both games that series. They were in the driver's seat for the majority of the game and kind of threw it away at the end both times. We have friends on the team. We've talked to them. They kind of acknowledged that it wasn't their best showing and they should have won those games. But regardless, Hodis was who came away with it and went on to face NUES in the semis. Minion Miners and Gilly Shark. Gilly Shark continuing to steamroll their way through the B playoffs. Took that one. Hodis and NUES was another really interesting match. And this one was actually, I watched this one too because it was a match I was really interested in. The drafts were a little spicy. The play was a little spicy. Honestly, for lack of a better word, it was a little sloppy almost. Like there was a lot of strange play. But NUES ended up, I believe, Ziltoid, you were watching that. Was that a 2-0 as well for NUES?
I think so.
I believe it was a 2-0 for NUES over Hodis, but Hodis didn't let them have it easy. It was a good rematch from the very first showdown of the season.
So I had Minion Miners beating Gilly Shark, but other than that, I think this was pretty much as predicted. Now, so we're having Gilly Shark versus NUES. Is Gilly Shark going to move on to the grand finals, or are we going to see an NUES upset?
I think if there's one team to upset Gilly Shark in the playoffs, NUES is the team that's going to do it. They haven't always shown top-tier consistent play, but they are a solid team. They draft solid. When they're on their game, they're on their game. Gilly Shark is... they're simultaneously predictable and unpredictable, and I say that because they have players who favor certain heroes, and those heroes tend to be a little bit off meta or underutilized. So they play Samuro, they play Medivh, they play Brightwing, they play main tank Arthas. They play things that maybe you're not used to being thrown up against as a team, but I think with proper practice and preparation, those are heroes that you can deal with and you can take out. So I'm going to give the edge to NUES just because I'm looking for the upset, and I think they can do it.
There you go. Ziltoid, Gilly Shark, NUES, which one?
I don't know. It's really tough to call. NUES is kind of... I think everyone's been expecting them to kind of turn it on. And like what I was saying, it's been a bit hit or miss. Based off their results and matchup against Hodis, I don't think that they have what it takes to take out Gilly Shark. If they show up and play cleaner, then they might. But if they play a similar matchup like they did versus Hodis, then I think Gilly Shark walks away with the victory.
Very nice. Any final thoughts, Aero?
Div B is the div that I know the least about. I haven't cast any of them, I don't think, and I tend to watch, just based off where, I don't know. I tend to watch the other divs more than B, I guess. I don't have any specific reason for it, probably because I get to hear about Ziltoid and Wono.
It's easy.
So. Yeah, he knew he had two experts on the panel here. He was fine.
Yeah. These guys know everything there is to know about Div B.
Exactly.
I believe that.
All right, well, now we're moving on to Div B West. This is the logical decision.
Our home division.
We already know the result, so why don't we go through it? What happened?
Virtual Murky Slayers took a 2-1 over Regen Blue, and that was... Love Regen Blue. Even them taking a map off Virtual Murky Slayers was, I think, a bit of an upset for everyone watching that, and it was a really entertaining series. Regen Blue took the first match and was going into it with a whole heck of momentum. They looked solid. So after the first match, VMS was looking a little shaken. The second match was kind of back and forth a little bit. Regen Blue, I'm a little surprised. They played the Garrosh in game 1, and that's what really gave Virtual Murky Slayers trouble. They were getting picked a lot. Their Diablo was having trouble engaging with the Garrosh there. And he was up in game 2, but they didn't draft him. They went back to Mongooses tried and true ETC. And ultimately, they lost the second game, and then the third game was much less close, we'll say.
Yeah,
so Virtual Murky Slayers. Yeah.
I actually caught this one because I think you made a call in the Discord. Hey, upset on Virtual Murky Slayer. So I was like, I gotta watch this one. I caught this one. Very good match. Very, very good. So.
Moving on, Reborn Knights Red in Logical Decision, the one minor upset in all of Division B for the first round. But it's a 4 seed and a 5 seed, so really not too much to say as far as upsets. We played a solid game, 2-0'd them. You'll see some highlight or two from that later on in our highlights section. Spoiler alert.
Spoilers. Yeah.
Wholesome Halfwits and Soak Every Lane. I haven't gone around to watching that match, but from what I've heard, it's a very good match and one that Soak Every Lane is kind of kicking themselves that they didn't walk away with the win.
Yeah. They flat out threw game 2 and they won the first matchup. Should have been a 2-0 in their way.
They almost had the 2-0 there, but Wholesome Halfwits managed, I guess, to wrangle back the second game and then get control back for game 3 and take the series.
Yep.
And that's one that I would have expected Wholesome Halfwits to win, so hearing that Soak Every Lane had such a dominating lead on that series before they kind of let it go is surprising. And 10 Armor and Arrogant Nephilim. 10 Armor walked away with, I believe it was a clean 2-0 on that one. Not super surprising. Arrogant Nephilim has kind of a bag of tricks, but overall I think 10 Armor is just the more solid team, so not super surprised with that one. Virtual Murky Slayers and Logical Decision, the game that we're crying about. Talked about it already, so not going to spend a whole lot of breath on it, but Virtual Murky Slayers walked away with the 2-0 in what was probably a closer match than a 2-0 kind of gives away, but ultimately they were the better team for the playoffs, and we wish them the best going forwards.
I will say that had we faced off against any other team, I think we'd be playing them in the finals.
Yeah.
But that's the way seeding and playoffs works, and here we are. Wholesome Halfwits and 10 Armor is going to be a very interesting match.
Today.
That one has not been played yet. It's set to be played tonight, or in just a couple hours after we finish filming this.
Yes. Do you think Virtual Murky Slayer is going to have enough in their tank to beat out either winner?
Yes.
I believe they do, yeah. I honestly believe they do. 10 Armor, we have friends on the team. 10 Armor says they've scrimmed them and beat them in scrims before, but Virtual Murky Slayers took the 2-0 in season, so that remains to be seen what actually happens. Who knows what goes on in scrims with trying weird comps and people's on different things. As far as the actual Wholesome Halfwits 10 Armor matchup, it's a tight matchup. It depends on who shows up. I think Wholesome Halfwits has the better shot at winning that one. 10 Armor still has to tighten up their play a little bit, but I wouldn't count them out completely.
Sounds good. All right. Moving right along. Aero, your time to shine. Tell us what is going on with Division C East.
So C East is pretty much going basically according to what the standings were. In week 1, Almost Legends defeated Calculated Throw 2-0, and I know Mystic's gonna hate me for saying this, but that second game was over before it was done in 10 minutes or something like that. It was just absolutely crazy how quickly it ended. Regen Red defeated Winky Face 2-0. So then Regen and Almost Legends faced off here last week, and we took the 2-0 over Almost Legends for that. In the top half of the bracket there, the Found Vikings against Wood League was actually an intense series, and D-Wit had actually even brought up that this was the potential upset. Wood League had done the same thing in the season. It was a 2-1. They played really well against the Found Vikings, and right up until the end of that match, it was anybody's game, and ultimately Vikings pulled it out, so they moved on. But that's the 1-2-1 series that's happened in C East, and then UARC defeated Bancho, ultimately falling to the Found Vikings in their next round.
Very nice.
Over in C West, or did you want to talk about?
No, I think that's good. But before you get onto C West,
Yeah,
I have something that I need to put on the record here for everyone. I had Rush B winning grand finals of the Division C championship, but I do want to formally change my vote. It's going to be, and here, I'll put this down here so we can all see.
Wow.
Got myself a little Regen Red shirt.
Oh.
So we got that on there. And then I've been so fortunate as to get my own t-shirt.
Oh, wow.
There you go, buddy.
Very big fan, so I want to make sure that everyone knows, based on my t-shirt purchase bribe, that Regen Red will be winning Division C in the grand finals. So just want to put that out there.
I have to say I agree with you.
Very nice. And we were actually talking before we went live about his red shirt. I had the opportunity to buy the Regen Red, but I opted for the white and the black. So
if I wasn't on red, I wouldn't be wearing red. It's probably my least favorite color.
There you go. And why don't you go ahead and break it down for us on what happened in C West, and I'll get disrobed.
So C West. Well, this isn't distracting at all. So C West, very similar to C East in that there were a couple of matches that were very close. There was one upset in that Paraloot, which was the 6th seed, 2-0'd over Dive Hard. So that was a big win for them. And Can't Counterpick Stupid and Dat Task, though. That was DeWitt's potential proposed upset of C West. Was very close to being that upset. It was equally as crazy of a match as the Found Vikings and Wood League over in the East. But ultimately, Can't Counterpick Stupid did succeed. So they played against Paraloot in the next round and were able to defeat them, I believe, 2-1. So Can't Counterpick Stupid so far has been the 2-1 playoff team in Division C, as most of the games were 2-0s. Up in the top half, Rush B took over Lurk Patrol. You kind of expect that 1 versus 8, 2-0, and then you had Ginormous Jaegers and Plugwalk, and that was some craziness to cast last week. That ended with both teams losing something like 70% of their core to catapults while they fought over the top shrine, and ultimately the call being made to have a defense against the Punisher. Probably the wrong call because they lost, but ultimately Ginormous Jaegers played a great match, and they'll be playing tonight. So by the time everybody gets to see this, you'll know the results of that match, but we won't.
There we go. So I think me and Ziltoid both picked Can't Counterpick Stupid, and I to lose to Dat Task though in our prediction special. So
bet you guys feel pretty stupid now.
Yeah, Valkymer definitely let us know that we were incorrect about our bracket. I knew the result of that match right away.
You gotta roll the dice sometimes. So.
It was my upset pick. Unfortunately, I had them going very far. So it is what it is. So Aero, though, looking forward, so we're into the finals for each of the divisions. So we have Can't Counterpick Stupid taking on either Rush B or Ginormous Jaegers. What do you think the result of that match is going to be?
So I think it's pretty likely that Rush B is gonna beat out Ginormous Jaegers. They have some really quality play on the Jaegers. Game 1 against Plugwalk was just a monstrous affair. But Rush B's been just dominant through this whole season for C West. So I think that they'll be able to pull that out. You know, hopefully it's a 2-1, right? I don't know that I would necessarily bet on it. And then if that's the case, then you've got Rush B versus Can't Counterpick Stupid. And that's a tough call. I think Rush B has the edge, but you know what? Valkymer really wants to face Regen Red in the finals. So you know what? His desire and confidence may lift his team up enough to make that happen.
Well, I casted Ginormous Jaegers and CCS. And our team has actually scrimmed all three of those teams: Rush B, Ginormous Jaegers, and CCS. I would probably agree with you. I think Rush B is most likely the strongest out of all three of them, but it's pretty close, pretty much across the board. So, Ginormous Jaegers, don't count them out. They've got some talent on that team that can definitely show up on the day. And while Rush B, I think, also is a very they shot call well, and they've got a good idea of what they want to do in games. And that might be enough to clutch them out the playoffs. An upset could definitely happen between those two teams for sure. It'll be interesting to see what happens tonight. And then, CCS, I think, can squeeze in all those, but I'm still going to take the counterpoint on that. And I think that either Rush B or Ginormous Jaegers will be facing the Div East champion.
Very nice. Of course, I have my decision.
Yeah, buddy. The one thing I did want to bring up about Rush B, I was doing a little bit of digging around in stats of the Storm, and I'm not super fluent in it, but there was one stat that I thought was really interesting, and this isn't necessarily across all of their games, but when Fatlock is playing Johanna or Stitches, which was a fair amount of games, they were ahead in levels, so not just equal, but ahead in levels, 65% of the game for Johanna, 57% of the game for Stitches. When you compare that to some other teams, their numbers average out much lower. Even like the Found Vikings and Regen on the opposite side tend to be closer to the anywhere from single digits to 20%, whereas Rush B sitting out there with greater than 50% of the map is in their favor from a level.
Very, very interesting. So we'll just have to wait and see. At this point, I don't think we know when they're going to be played just yet. So is that correct? Or
we know that the Jaegers and Rush B will be tonight at so Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. The next game, obviously, we don't.
In about 3.5 hours for us here.
Very nice.
We do know, however, when Found Vikings and Regen Red are going to be playing. It's not on the calendar yet because there's a glitch. But we'll be playing on Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and that we prepared heavily for our Almost Legends match. We haven't even seen the Found Vikings since week 1. It feels like a whole nother season, practically a whole nother team because we had just formed. Right. So, we've put a lot of effort into checking them out. It's going to be a good series, but, I think that Regen's going to take it. And if for no other reason, I think it's because Found Vikings has a fairly limited amount of heroes that they really heavily focus on. At 17 games on Diablo out of 29, I think it was, something like that, 28.
It's a lot of Diablo games.
It is a lot of Diablo games. So they're going to be a tough team to beat for sure. But we're going to give it 110%.
Got my vote. So moving on, we're going to go ahead and recap Div D. This one got a little spicy. So just talking about round 1 real quick. In the Div D East, Save the Murloc won as expected. Full Meta Jacket won again as expected. Frankfurters beat Olaf and the Sweaty Bandits. That was, of course, a matchup where I had picked Olaf and the Sweaty Bandits to win. And Olaf and the Sweaty Bandits certainly gave Frankfurters a run for their money. That game 1 was, and I think, Aero, you were the caster for this, right?
For Franks and
no, it was Jason.
I was going to say, I don't think I did that one, no. I've done a lot of them, but not that one.
You're right. It was Jason. That game 1 got real spicy. It was actually a Winions win. So the Catapults took out the core. You hate to see it. But then Frank's Furters and Olaf. Game 2 was a lot closer, and but Frank's took it. And then Game 3 was clearly Frank's Furters' game. So they made sure that they wanted to move on to round 2, and they did. Nexus Cats and 2 Calculated to Throw.
In the arms of an angel.
Yeah. Just, my hopes and dreams of playing in a playoff game are just crushed. So that's fine. 2 Calculated to Throw just had way better drafts in Game 1 and Game 3, which they both won. Game 2, Nexus Cats did win. I think that was on Volskaya. No. I don't remember which game it was. That makes me bad because I was on that team. So anyways, Game 1 we lost, but the big one was BOE. That was our Game 3. We felt like we had a very good strategy going into it. We had really scouted them out. I created an Excel spreadsheet of all of their drafts, all of their results. We thought we had a very good edge going into it, and unfortunately they did take us. I think we forgot that Artanis is played by their team and played on that map, and it did not get a ban from us. So if there was a single-handed hero, if you can even call it that won that game, it was Artanis. But honestly, the whole team played very well, and they were the better team, so they went on. So then round 2 in Div D East, we had an upset from Save the Murloc taking on Full Meta Jacket. And Full Meta Jacket winds up squeaking out the win there. I believe it went to a 2-1. I don't know if any of you have seen it.
I'm trying to remember. I did see the back half of it, but I don't remember. Maybe I can find it.
It was one that I had, like you were saying, I had it on in the background. I was just kind of like, oh yeah, well, Save the Murloc's going to win here. But so I don't mean to detract from Full Meta Jacket's win, but yeah, that was a spicy match. So, and then also 2 Calculated to Throw versus Frank's Furters. The expectation based on seeding is that Frank's Furters would take it, and they did. 2 Calculated to Throw, I think, took them to 3 games. But
it's close series all the way through.
Yeah, it was another one that was very close, and I don't think that it was as one-sided as anyone like kind of looking away, or even as Frank Furters thought it was going to be. That was a very good match, and I think it could have gone either way. That was casted by my buddy Mark Zombie. And so now we're going to see Full Meta Jacket going on up against Frank's Furters. It's anyone's match. We were talking off air before, seeing Save the Murloc, Full Meta Jacket, at the time Nexus Cats and Frank's Furters in the finals. It would be any one of those teams' games. And I think this is no exception. If I have to pick, and because I didn't have a bracket for this, I really think Full Meta Jacket's going to pull it off. I believe Full Meta Jacket pulled it off in the regular season against Frank's Furters. So I think we will see that happen again. But who knows? Frank's Furters is a really good team, so could go that way too.
In the regular season, we were 2-1 over Frank's Furters. And I was just pulling this up because the way that the points work out, Full Meta Jacket is the 4th seed out of Division D. However, they actually had a higher match win rate than Nexus Cats, and they had a tie as far as match win rate with Save the Murloc and Frank's Furters. They were 7-2 in that series. Thanks to the domination points, of course, that put them a little bit behind the other teams. But their 4th place seeding is a little bit misleading because of that. Yes.
It was a very close division at the top. I know it came down to the final match. Nexus Cats, we didn't know which seed we had, if we had 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th up until I think the very last game was played. So it's very close. It'll be interesting to see what happens. So moving on over to D West, Boogan Squad versus Disturbance. That went about as well as expected. It was Boogan Squad. Clouded Minds versus OC Peach Boys. We, I think, had uniformly predicted that Clouded Minds was going to get the upset over OC Peach Boys, and that wound up happening. Pigeon Stitches won against Stranger Pings. Sack of Bricks beat out Asmo Carey. That was a little bit of an upset. I know I had predicted that Asmo Carey was going to win that, but Sack of Bricks pulled it off.
Convincingly. It didn't really feel that close.
Yeah, and that's where we're at. So then going on to round 2, we had Boogan Squad taking on Clouded Minds, and Boogan Squad wins it out. So I know I had Clouded Minds beating them, but not the way the cookie crumbled. And we have Sack of Bricks and Pigeon Stitches going tonight. It's one of the last 3 games that need to be played. So we will see the results of that. As far as predictions, I think it's Pigeon Stitches. They are a very good team. Not to say that Sack of Bricks isn't. I just think that Pigeon Stitches is, in my mind, they're the crowned kings of Division D West, although they might be seated a little bit lower. And then looking forward to round 3 and the Division D West finals, Boogan Squad going up against the winner of Pigeon Stitches versus Sack of Bricks. If it's Sack of Bricks, I think Boogan Squad is going to win. Pigeon Stitches, I think they have enough to pull it off against Boogan Squad. We have scrimmed. I think I said this last time. We've scrimmed against Pigeon Stitches, and they're just a very good, they're a cerebral team, very good at executing their strategy, whatever it may be. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. So Aero, what do you think?
So I do want to clarify. So Clouded Minds was actually the 4th seed, so that was not an upset over OC Peach Boys. Yeah, so that was legit. Boogan Squad is really strong. I've cast them a few times. They had a lot of dominations, one of which was against Pigeon Stitches. But coincidentally, just a side fact, for Jeopardy later, the 2 teams at the top of the D West bracket, Boogan Squad and Pigeon Stitches, also coincidentally happened to be the last teams to get their flex matches scheduled. Just throwing a little shade out there, guys, in my D West arena. But they, both of those teams kind of falsely looked like they were lower in the standings because they had 2 or 3 matches behind, and then they started playing and winning and climbing, and to the point where Boogan went from like 6th to 1st, right? Because they just kept taking 2-0s. And then you know what? I've cast all 4 of those teams: Boogan, Clouded, Sack, and Pigeon. And I mean, I think Boogan's going to be able to manage their way through both of those pretty handily. I think that, I think Pigeon Stitches probably gives them the best run for their money out of those teams, but
I actually expect
they're
Boogan
so strong
to win the whole thing. Like flat out. I think they'll take out anyone on both sides of the bracket. They're a really strong team.
And about Boogan, so I do the Div D stats, or I did them during the regular season. I thought they were disqualified. Because on my Stats the Storm, they were only showing as like 3 games played, but they had really high stats. So for the first, let's say week 6, week 5, I actually didn't include them in the stats calculation because they were just so far behind in playing their games or getting them reported or not being in Stats of the Storm. So when they were first place, I was like, wait, when did this happen?
Week 5, you say? That sounds about when we got a new D West mod, actually, I think.
Yeah.
Somebody to harass
who that was.
Yeah. Huh, interesting. Well, there you have it, guys. Div D. We'll see what happens. So we'll be here next week, hopefully, and we'll have the results. So that's it. We are done with the playoff predictions. Let us move on to the next part of the show. It is the streamer of the week, caster of the week. Ziltoid and Woe, do you guys know who it is?
I have a hunch.
This guy?
I got a feeling.
Probably
it's Aero. He is on the cast, the first ever guy on the cast to be awarded with caster of the week. So we've kind of alluded to it, and Aero has been casting a heck ton of games.
Casting up the Storm, barely any games getting missed by this guy.
Yeah, especially being in Div D, it seemed like every day, every week, there was at least 1 to 2 Aero games being cast. He is incredibly involved in the NGS community, recently taking on the DivD West moderator position. And as you alluded to, helping move things along. And he does a ton of work behind the scenes, working with the divisions, talking in the divisions, being very active. So very well deserved. And we've been fortunate to have him on the show. So Aero, give yourself a round of applause. Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. I'd be blushing, but you couldn't tell thanks to the shirt.
Yeah.
Just all one brick of red.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I was very blushed when I was disrobing.
So was I.
Oh, gee. Steamy turd. So anyways, guys, I recommend check out Aero's casts. We're going to have a link below so you can find him on Twitch. He's also going to let us know his exact Twitch URL in the closing segment of the show. So you'll have all your ways of getting a hold of him, or just keep an eye on the calendar. You'll see some games there. So, guys, moving right along, it is time for the top 5 highlights of the week. And even though it's playoffs, we've had spicier picks, but we're going to go ahead and give it to us anyways. Starting with number 5, it's called Misha Snipe. And you're going to have to look a little closely, because you can barely see it. Show the clip.
They seem a little they're still on cooldown. Dragon Arrow catches 2. They do catch Zeratul. Rexar and Misha do on the backside.
All right, and coming in at number 4, we have One Wombo Boy. Go ahead, show the clip.
Up here, we've got Ragnarok going in deep. He's in the backline hard against multiple members of PFM.
ETC over on the left side getting a kill by Jaina.
And Virtuoso.
All right, and coming in at number 3, we have Can't Kill the Metal. Go ahead and show the clip.
And ready to fight. Let's see how it shakes down.
Here it goes. Oh my gosh, ETC. Oh my gosh, the huge sleep of
Mosh. Oh my goodness. 4 for 1 trade.
Wow.
And coming in at number 2 is the best play in NGS history. Go ahead and show the clip.
Pressing forward with the ley line seal. Gul'dan captures the Hellgate a little bit early though. Gul'dan gonna survive, but not surviving his place. No more tanks left, and Lionspeed might be able to close it out here. They use the big damage. They find the big kills, and it's just Zul'jin. It's just Gul'dan, and Gul'dan no longer a quad kill. Just the Zul'jin. Slithering won the last defense. A couple heroes pretty low, and he's gonna find Diablo. And he pops that Stinko, gonna find Greymane! What? Get out of town. And healing, what? Get out of, no! 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 What the I'm dropping an F-bomb. Slithering one, that was the hottest play I saw the entire season in Nexus Gaming Series.
Being topped only by the number one play of the week. It is the play of the game. Go ahead and show the clip.
5 on 5. I don't think this is the call from them, but here comes a play of the game from way downtown. Look at this Dragon Arrow. It comes in and catches 2. Reborn Knights did not see it coming, and Phoenix plays the price. Leap goes onto the backside. They are able to take out the Zagara. Not before Devouring Maw goes and catches Zoo. Tiltoid is there waiting with his Stormbow charge. Zera goes down. Sonya goes down. Logical decision. Very close. They're so close they can taste victory.
All right. So that was it. That was that was a play of the game from downtown. I wish we can get the was it the NBA Jam, the sound effects? Yeah. Oh man.
Yep, that's what
from downtown. Yeah.
From downtown.
So Ziltoid, go through what's in your mind. Is it kind of like a last ditch effort to help your team, or what made you throw the arrow that far?
Yeah, I mean, I was at Spawn and they were trying to find some picks to end the game. So I just wanted to get back in the fight as soon as possible. So I just kind of hucked an arrow out and was just like, come on! Waiting for it to land.
What were the comms
basically
like for
just
you
yelling, Oh yeah, I was freaking out because I was just like,
just like screaming about his arrow, and we're trying to like, is it gonna land? Is it gonna hit anyone? Do we need to follow up?
I'm watching it the whole time. I'm just like, it's gonna hit, it's gonna hit, it's gonna hit, and then it did, and I'm just like, yay!
Well, you even jumped out, and I think you took a couple tower shots. Luckily,
yeah, I landed right underneath the keep, but it didn't really matter. You know, I just kind of moved out of the way. I think I have my ninja jump, so I kind of moved to one of the buildings and just hopped over it, and that was fine.
Very nice.
And then Zagara died, but landed a 2-person maw. So like, got the pick on Phoenix, popped over the wall, and was able to finish off the other 2 heroes, and then we were able to. So it was a pretty hype moment. It was again, I'd never made it through the first round of the playoffs before, and that was the playoff winning, game winning, match winning play. So
oh yeah, that was like the 9th inning grand slam to tie it up, win the game. Yeah, Aero was gonna make the same comment.
I was gonna say that's the play you make when you're 6 years old and you're like, this is the setup. We've got all these things. And then the arrow shot.
And he does it.
And you hit it off. You hit the home run, the grand slam.
So now we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the best play in NGS history. That was really good. Certainly, really good pick. Aero, what did you think of that one?
The Zul'jin, there was some commentary in chat about it a little bit, about in the mod, not in the mod chat, in the highlight chat about it. And I think somebody made a good point, which was that was basically not necessarily great play on Zul'jin's part, but maybe a little bit of hyper aggression on the rest of the team, of the enemy team, to throw themselves at a Zul'jin who was invulnerable, essentially.
Well, and with the level 20 upgrade, he heals up all the damage addition to him. So the misplay
himself.
Yeah, so like if he pops off Tazdingo, you all hit him while it's up. Then he gets a full heal after the fact. Yeah, he's probably going to be able to stand there long enough to kill you.
Yeah, and you almost see Greymane realize just at the last moment that he just totally messed up. This was a bad decision.
I made a grave mistake.
Yeah. No, and it's definitely one of those, we're suckers here for the, the hit R and win type strategies. This one just happened to be hit R and beat 4 other heroes and win. So, definitely a sucker here. And then, any other comments on these highlights, boys?
Oh, I'm real happy that Logical Decision made 2 highlights, and neither of them were us misplaying. So it's a real big win on our part.
Yeah, Logical Decision actually pulling off 2, so getting a little bit of love from Nexus Edge. Still, my favorite might be the little spider crawls off screen. Sorry to bring it up, but
I think the one that I really enjoyed the most was the sleep, the Mal'Ganis sleep into that big 4-man mosh.
Oh yeah, that was really good. Actually,
I'm a big fan of ETC. I love mosh pits, and whether there's 1 or 5 counters, I'm interested in taking that mosh into the enemy team and finding it. So Mal'Ganis setting that play up for ETC was fantastic. It was great to watch, and the team just melted. Dance party mid lane.
That's what you like to see.
I think I was top lane.
All right, guys, I think we're getting ready here to get to, I think it's my favorite part of the show. It's the Edge questions from the community. So for those of you that don't know, we have the hashtag Edge questions Discord channel where a lot of people, mostly Valcomer, put in Edge questions. So this week, we've actually had a bunch from the last couple of weeks, so let's just get right into it. So starting with Fun Buns, he has asked, hey guys, what do you think about Volskaya and Braxis being replaced with Garden of Terror and Hanamura in the ranked map rotation? Wono, why don't you start it out?
Yeah, I have thoughts. Braxis is a map that I know a lot of people traditionally have kind of held animosity towards, just because prior to the more recent changes to the map, it was a very unfun and unbalanced map at times. It promoted a lot of cheese. There didn't feel like there was a lot of counterplay. The Zerg waves were crazy powerful early in the game, and if you won the first objective, you basically won the game. Since balancing that map and having a couple passes to it, I honestly think that a lot of the old feelings towards it aren't quite valid or justified anymore. Like, I've found when the maps come up before they took it out of the rotation, and now in quick match or wherever it still shows up, that it actually still feels like a decently balanced and fun map, and I personally don't mind it anymore.
So on that, and I'm probably wrong, but I feel like it doesn't feel like a MOBA anymore when you play on it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Is it something to do with the two lane setup? Do you think?
Yeah, the 2 lane. It becomes like a dance around the point, right?
Yeah.
In a prolonged dance around the point too. So I don't get me wrong. I really like the map. I used to be the biggest anti-Braxis. Last season, Meme Factory LLC, the only ban we ever did for maps was Braxis. We were not fans. But I've come around to it. Maybe it's because I started playing Rexar, so it works. So, but go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just wanted to know what you thought about that.
No, that's okay. And as far as Volskaya, I understand because they made those pretty substantial protector changes. That being said, having played on the new Volskaya, I honestly don't feel like the map plays out much differently given the changes. Yes, the protector is no longer soloing 3 or 4 heroes. You can't set up the stun glove into like the laser combos or anything, but it takes out structures just the same. You push with it just the same. I honestly think the map plays out the same, and I don't think it needed to be removed from the rotation.
So then, not Fun Buns. Oh my gosh, Aero. What do you think of the second part of his Garden of Terror Hanamura coming into the ranked rotation?
You know, I've liked Hanamura even when it was in the original version. I really enjoyed Hanamura, and I think I'm about the only person that I know, like in my group of people that I play with, who has that opinion. Every time we get Hanamura, Cotillion, who's on Regen as well, is just like, oh, I'm so trashed at this map. I have like a 30% win. I hate this place. And you know, I mean, these maps, they've redone them. I think that they've had them in the non-ranked rotation for long enough to kind of get some data. And Garden of Terror plays very much like an Alterac Pass kind of mixed with
Cursed Hollow.
Yeah. So I mean, they already have those, right? So I think it's good to bring in some new blood, so to speak, in the map rotation, get people to adjust their strategies. And a map like Hanamura, the way that they have it set up, means that you have some potential for things that are vastly different than other maps. For different, you know, there's a very heavy focus on team fighting and camps on that map, whereas, you know, in some other maps you can kind of get away with it. And even something as simple as like on Garden of Terror, understanding, and this, I think somebody alluded to this the other day, but understanding that you don't have to kill all the minions to get the point, right? Like, people take forever getting to the seed, and all you have to do is just gather them up, and just like in Alterac Pass, you can do the same thing. So
that was Frogman who pointed that out, just to give him some credit here.
Yeah. So I think I think it's good. I would rather that there may be different maps that they took out of it. Much the same as what 1.0. But I think coming into it, I think it's good for those maps to come.
All right, thank you, Aero. Ziltoid, what are your thoughts on this question?
I don't think Braxis or Volskaya needed to be removed from the rotation. I think adding in 2 new maps into the ranked queue is perfectly fine. I don't see there any reason why they had to remove it. If they're feeling like it was in the competitive state, or in a position where it could be tested in a competitive environment, then why remove 2 maps that have been proven to be fine in a competitive environment? Both Braxis and Volskaya, especially as of late, have been perfectly fine in all competitive environments across the board, in both NGS and in ranked queues. So I don't really see the point in removing those 2 maps. You know, if you're going to take 2 things out of the rotation, you know, are you going to work on them? Are you planning on tuning them more? Like, what's kind of the idea? And if you're going to tune maps, why not tune maps like Sky Temple or other things that haven't really seen any attention in literally forever? I mean, when was the last time they looked at Cursed Hollow? I'm not saying that any major changes have to happen, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of, you know, there's some other options that could have probably been removed in favor. If you have to swap out maps, I thought taking those two maps out just seemed a little odd because they've both had a lot of attention and work in the last little bit, and are finally in a good competitive state that most people can appreciate. So removing them seemed a little bit weird. As far as Hanamura being the rotation, I think it's finally in a positively competitive state.
Yeah,
it's actually finally in a spot where there's legitimate strategies, legitimate drafts, and it's not just a meme fest like it used to be. And so I think, having played on the map recently and with some people that understand the map, there's a lot of strategies and things like that stuff go into it, and it's a decently fun map. Just like all other two-lane maps, there's, the macro isn't centered in the lanes themselves. Right. It's centered in the center of the map. And the objective is one of those things that you can often get mostly as a reward for succeeding in the mid-map brawls and the camps and stuff like that, rather than like a major focus. But you can still draft things that are really good at like zoning out teams and like moving the objective along. So it has a lot of back and forth, a lot of different strategies, and I very much like it. Crystallo, I'm a little more nervous about being in the map rotation. I think that thing still needs a bit of tuning. I don't think it's in the best competitive state as it currently stands. I think the objective is oppressive to a certain extent. And any team that really masters the macro on that map can get a legitimate advantage that's really hard to come back with. But I think it just needs a bit of tuning, and I think bringing it into the competitive area, like the Storm League, is what Blizzard wants to do, so that they can figure out what those tuning adjustments need to be. So I don't mind them rotating both these maps in, because their goal is trying to make every map they can into something competitive to play. So they have to bring it into the setting to be able to figure that out. Whereas I think Hanamura is pretty much right there. Garden of Terror probably is going to need some work.
I want to point out that we need to edit out that part where he talked about Sky Temple, because we win there all the time, and I don't want them to change anything, because we're undefeated there.
I just think it needs a little bit of tuning. That's all. Some things to bring a little bit more interactive play, a little bit more, a little bit less. Well, we win the second objective handily, we friggin' win the game pretty much from here on out if we macro play well.
Never have to take another team fight after that.
Yeah, it just needs a bit of tuning and to find some other strategy that they can introduce into the map. That's all I'm thinking.
And wasn't there actually a little bit of a typo when the patch notes first came out, that Sky Temple wasn't included in the ranked list, but also wasn't included on the maps taken out list?
Yeah, they just forgot to add it to the list.
I was just where is Sky Temple?
If there was a map, I think that they should have removed the rotation to take a good look at. I think Sky Temple was that map they should have done it with too. But that's just what I think.
I actually do agree with you, but I don't want them to do it.
Not yet. Not until NGS is done.
Exactly.
All right. So we have a question from Velcomer. And this is kind of a nuts and bolts of how Nexus Edge works, so I thought it'd be an interesting question. I'm going to field this over to you, Wono.
Oh, boy.
Is there an analyst assigned for each division, or does it belong to the whole team? Is there a specific analyst belongs to each division? I guess that's kind of a repeat of the same question, but why don't you go ahead and break that down on how it kind of works behind the scenes here?
Yeah, so apart from Edge, we bring them up every week, but we have a team of analysts who we work with and we couldn't do our jobs without. And they, by and large, are responsible for the individual statistics and analysis of the divisions.
Yes.
So that being Key, Hemibo, Chaotic Order, and who am I missing? You?
I do Div D.
Turd Herder. Okay. And then we
Key
have some,
does A.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have some auxiliary people as well who help supplement the stats and do some other things. As far as on the show here, we kind of break it down to where Ziltoid handles Heroic and A. I've been handling B and C on and off depending on who our guest is. Turd handles D, and then our guest, depending, they just kind of fill in with whatever input they have. Sometimes we ask them to get brushed up on C with the help of Hemibo.
Yeah.
But we try and have someone on both the team, like the Nexus Edge team, as well as the analyst team, who is a real master or a real savant of each specific division and their stats.
Oh, I am not a savant of Divi.
Considering I didn't even remember you were
Yeah,
there.
no, that's probably why. Yeah.
Well, you've done some posts. You're doing great.
No, I like to run the weekly stats, and it helped because I talk about DivD on the show. I thought it helped kind of give me a good analysis of what was. So I liked doing that for me personally, because otherwise I would probably just be asking questions. So I wanted to be able to contribute at least a little bit.
That being said, for next season, who knows exactly what our analyst team is going to look like. I'm sure we'll analyze how the season went and see how we can redistribute our assets better. We have some projects in the works, I'm sure. BJ won't let me talk about, but we're working on it. And we always have more room for anyone who's inclined to the stats who wants to join the team and help us out.
Absolutely. So let's move on to the last question. Been a long episode. We're almost done. Last question. I think this is a good one. We'll start with Aero here. This is also from Valcomer. What is your greatest joy of the season? And what is your greatest sadness of the season?
Oh, man.
And your season isn't even over yet, so
I was
both of those might still come.
I can't really officially answer, technically speaking, either of those questions, but I'll give you my second. I think one of my great joys of the season was actually getting in and learning casting.
Yeah.
And diving right in, and Tootie has some great videos, some like 3 hours worth of videos, and each video says, okay, this is who this is for. If you've done 5 casts, you can watch this. If you've done 10 casts, you can watch this. And I'm like, I'm watching them all. I'm doing it all. And I feel like that's just how I learned. So whatever. But kind of mucking things up and making mistakes as I went. I had like 8 minutes of one game that I just completely was on another screen because I didn't realize how the hotkeys were working. So it was unfortunate. It was a good game, but the teams were very accommodating because they knew that it was my first cast. So I think that's probably my greatest joy. As far as my greatest sadness, I don't know. We've had a really positive season for the team, and I think that the sadness to come is just simply that this season is going to be ending one way or another, whether we win it or whether we don't. Exactly. It's going to be going away. And it's been something that I've obviously, as we said at the beginning, I've participated in a lot of different areas of NGS, especially over the last few weeks. And, and then there's just going to be time that happens that takes place until the start at the beginning of July. So, one way or the other, that's going to be either a bittersweet moment at the end or just a double down on sadness, I think.
Yeah. There you go. Whoa, what about you? What are you thinking?
So my greatest triumph or greatest joy out of the season, it's kind of a multifaceted thing where joining the Edge team has been a great joy and a great success, I feel, for myself and the team here. Getting to spend some time with you guys every week, just chatting about a game we love and people we like to hang out with. And just to kind of build on that, all the connections that I've kind of made throughout NGS and all the people I've got to meet and the conversations I've got to have. I was a new transplant to NGS last season, and I kind of started putting myself out there, but I was still a little reserved, still wasn't really getting myself out in the community. And this season I've just kind of gone, heck it, let's get in there, let's put myself out there. And it's been really, really fun getting to know all the different people that make NGS tick and see what goes on here. As far as failures or downfalls or sadness, I guess just what I feel is a premature elimination of Logical Decision. We lost to a better team at Virtual Murky Slayers, but like Ziltoid said, if we were on the other side of the bracket, I strongly believe we'd be playing them in the finals. I would have liked to have got there for him and the team, but we still had a great run and a good season, and I can't be too sad about that.
No, and I definitely want to echo those sentiments 100%. Greatest joy, easily, joining being asked to join the Nexus Edge team, developing, what we thought was good, but then actually, I think the first kind of, I think it might have been Grogman, but someone had mentioned PM'd me right after the first show dropped. And I thought, no one's going to watch it. It's going to get like 5 views. It's going to be all just us and then like Arthanow and Jason. And they messaged me and like, we're talking about it. And we're like, oh, that was a great show. You did this great. Like, you need to do this better, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, people actually enjoyed this. That's crazy. So it's been a really great joy to interact with everyone. I really appreciate all of the PMs and DMs related to the show. I get out of bed every Sunday, Saturday, whatever, to do this still, and I really, really enjoy it. So hopefully we'll be able to continue doing it, and it works out, and we'll be able to work on it and get it better, get it more fine-tuned. I think we have some things in mind for next season. I know there's some bits that we wanted to do this season that we haven't been able to do. So we'll see. As far as Greatest Sadness, just get knocked out of the playoffs a little bit early. In our mind, a little early. That's it happens, so Ziltoid, go ahead. What do you got for us?
Nothing. I'm just kidding.
Screw you, Nexus Edge. Yeah.
I mean, this whole season's been crazy. There's been lots of stuff going on. Like I said, joining Nexus Edge was a step forward for me. I haven't really done anything in the community or publicly or anything like that until I joined this, and it kind of spawned me getting into casting, which also has been a really fun experience, and something I've been enjoying a lot, and really getting into that and kind of seeing the response and from the community, the views, everyone kind of showing up and getting active in the chats and stuff like that has been super fun. But really, I think my favorite thing has been my team. This started in it started in Heroes Lounge. But, I've been in the competitive ever, man, guys. I've been playing this game since alpha testing. And I've been in the competitive scene since pretty much the beginning, like not just watching it on streams and stuff like that, but also, playing in Chair League and all the other different like amateur communities and stuff like that are coming up. I've been playing at this for a very long time. And Logical Decision is the first team that I've really felt a part of, like really a group of guys that get together that work together to improve and get better. There's no bad blood, there's no ego, there's none of these things that like really get in the way of true progress. And we've come a long way. Like we were all a bunch of Div D players, like couple seasons in a row. Yeah. And the fact that we were able to take a team, take these 5 players, put the work in that we needed to even make it to the second round of the playoffs is a huge achievement and something that I'm extremely proud of. So, that's been my favorite thing. As far as like the failure, rip my bracket, obviously, all of the dice that I rolled this season on my bracket want to put on that one. Pretty much just went. But at the same time, it's bittersweet because these are opportunities for people to prove me wrong, and I like those types of those opportunities. I like it when teams, show me up and say, "Hey, look, you left us at the margins, so we're gonna show you that you were wrong." And so call out to CCS. They definitely did that. They were the number 2 seed, so I mean, come on, they should have expected to be able to get there, but. At the same time, it's a shame that that some of the bets that I made didn't pan out the way I wanted to, but at the same time, it had some positive aspects to it.
Absolutely. Okay. All right, guys.
I'd like to add a 0.5 to mine if that's okay.
No, go ahead.
So I was thinking about it, and as you guys were talking a little bit, I thought back to actually ultimately what became a Nexus Edge highlight. In week 4 or 5, I think.
Oh, I know the one.
Yeah, you do. I might be a little bit famous in some circles for it, but being able to be on the highlight reel as that top play, and of course it was a POV stream for the night.
Now I know.
Yeah, now you're coming along. It was that core call on Tomb of the Spider Queen, and it was against Almost Legends. It was a very, very challenging matchup. We thought we'd lost a couple of times, and we came back and won it. And you could hear that in the stream, even though you couldn't actually hear everything in the stream because of the bleeping,
the audio.
But,
Yeah,
but some audio glitch or something. Yeah. But that actual moment, like in the moment, not just seeing it on the highlight, but the actual play of that was astounding, and it was so huge to have that moment with my team. After, probably the most challenging matchup that we had all season, including the playoffs. So I just wanted to amend that, because that was, getting that opportunity with your team to have that like struggle, and then ultimately victorious. And again, shout out to Almost Legends, because they were really tough to play against. And so that's my 0.5.
I'm all about it. Guys, we did it. We have come to the end of the show. We are ready to go home. We just need to tell the people, Wono, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at WonoHots, and on the Discord at Wono, whatever my weird number bracket thing is, hashtag something, I don't know. Find me, PM me.
It's at the bottom left of your Discord.
Yeah, but I have to glance down and read a number.
But that's not my nickname. Mine says Ryan J.
Fair enough.
AKA.
Yeah, AKA Turd. Yeah. Aero, why don't you tell the people where they can meet you or find you, meet you, do the both? Yeah.
Sure. So I have a Twitter. I look at it probably once every couple of weeks, but it's at Warrior Aero, spelled like the two words. And then generally you'll find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Aero of the Storm.
Very nice. Ziltoid, how about you?
Twitter at PS Ziltoid, and Twitch at twitch.tv/PS Ziltoid. And on YouTube too as well, where I post a lot of my stuff, and it has my name, so I'm not going to repeat it right now because I can't figure out how to fix that right now. But if you follow any of the links or whatever the case is, you'll see it there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And here on Discord, of course.
Perfect. I'm, of course, your esteemed host, Turd Herder, and you can find me Twitter, Turd Herder Hots. You can find me on the Discord, Turd Herder on the Discord. You cannot find me on Twitch. Still no response. Twitch, please. please. Let me communicate with people on Twitch. But as soon as that's reinstated, fingers crossed, it'll be Turd Herder Hots. Might change up my name on there a little bit, but that'll be something. Guys, that's it. Patreon shout out. If you are not a Patreon, why don't you go ahead and join patreon.com/heroesnexusgaming.com.
Heroes Nexus Gaming Series.
I'm going to get it right one time, I promise. But Heroes Nexus Gaming Series, and or click the link below. Shout out to our research analysts. For this week, we've got Key, Ryokai, and Himibo hitting us up. We haven't asked a lot about Storms, but they've been really active in the Discord and helping us out. And without them, it'd be super difficult. So, Wono, you have a shout out, right?
Yeah, I want to shout out Mongoose specifically. Him and I have been cooking up a fun little tournament coming up in the off season, so look forward to it at the end of this month here. It'll be a nice little 8-team tournament with some fun rules. So we're still in the works looking for. We've got all our teams, so sorry, not sorry. But anyone who's interested in casting or just being a part of it, DM me, DM Mongoose, and we'll point you in the right direction. And look forward to hearing a little bit more about that coming soon.
Very nice. Keep your eyes open. Aero, any last thoughts, shout outs? Thank you.
Yeah, so one last thing to kind of throw out there. B-Train in Div C is putting together a Heart and Soul tournament, I guess, which is going to follow very similar to what the Deck the Brawls setup was like here before the season. But basically, go to the Div C chat, nominate players from Div C, whether East or West, that you feel like really represented well, who Div C is, whether they're participating in the Discord, the community. And then after, I think he's got another week or two, I think it was 10 days that he was going to do that. Then he'll put something up for voting on those players for basically to have a matchup against. So just a fun little thing to do in between the season. And get some representation out there of people who have really made an impact on the community as a whole. So thanks very much to you guys and to so many of the various NGS people who I harassed throughout the season who eventually just said, why don't you actually just work here? And, it's been absolutely great, and I'm glad to be here.
Very nice. Ziltoid, any thank yous, shout outs?
Since everyone else is plugging stuff, I might as well draw some attention to the rest of it. Now, guys, the Heroes community at large is supported by you and I and everyone else. So it's very important that we are as involved as we possibly can be in all of the things that are happening everywhere that is. So let's try to get our viewership up. We need to be watching Div S, so please pay attention whenever those are popping up. It comes up in the Nexus Discord. Please notice when that happens and get in there and watch that. We've got our own matches that we're running for the playoffs. This is a really hype time, especially when we're getting into the finals. The more people that can show up, hit those follows, hit those likes, get that interest up, and hype up the matches that are coming in. The more attention we can get, the stronger that the Heroes community at large becomes. Same thing with our YouTube channel too as well. Where you can find this video. There's lots of past games. Go through, watch any of those that you've missed. There's lots of fantastic matches that haven't been done that should be watched and are there for you guys to watch. And also, there's a Heroes Hype tournament that's going to be running every Tuesday. And that's a very important thing that we should support. These are where the best of the best should be playing. It's going to be a big $10,000 prize pool for every kind of round of tournaments that they're doing as well. And the viewership and all of the involvement from the community is only going to help everyone in the Heroes community kind of recover from the big blow that was dealt to us with the drop of HGC. Let's not make it feel justified. Let's get in there, get the viewership up, and keep this going, because we're all here to enjoy competitive Heroes of the Storm. And the more everyone is involved, the better it will be for us in the long term.
100% agree. All about it. So go ahead and watch all those things that Ziltoid put out. Guys, the sun is coming through, if you haven't been able to tell. So I think that's it. This is Turd Herder here saying adios, amigos. And remember to stay safe in the Nexus. Take your hots to the edge. We're technically off air. Bloopers are still possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do be aware. But
Jason's always watching.
And that's it. All right, then hopefully Jason can fix the rest of it. So then, do you think Virtual Merkin Slayer is going to go on and take on the winner of that match, or? Well, duh. I mean, what are these clips? The best play in NGS history? Is that even? That can't be right.
Debatable.
That's what he called it. I just put it in quotes.
Oh, that must be the Zildjian one.
It's the Zildjian one.
I thought about putting it at number 2 just to spite him.
Right, that's like watching an anime where they fire an arrow from the other side of the country, and then there's all kinds of montage moments, and then it shows up, and then it's nuclear.
It was just black screening all the video feed for some reason.
Gonna pull a Jason on us, just make us redo the whole thing.
Oh no! It was just like 20 seconds of no video, but I still got audio. We're good.
That was the Mal'Ganis sleep.
That was actually really nice.
Yeah. That's another one that I think is probably better than Zildjian. I feel like Mr. Claw with my dog.
Sorry, Jason. You the best.
Alright, for those of you who made it this far into the show, we have a survey down below in the description. Please fill that out for me. The show cannot be...
I almost wish we had an itinerary where we could have put that, and I would have remembered to say something.
Yeah, I forgot that. So...